Pearl Abyss says Crimson Desert will launch with no microtransactions, no cash shop on day one. I've reread the reporting and the phrasing a few times, waiting for the hidden clause that usually shows up in tiny font. So far, the message stays the same. Premium, single purchase, done. And that's exactly why I'm suspicious. This is the studio behind Black Desert Online, a game that has made an absurd amount of money for years through convenience, upgrades, and monetization friction. They know how to extract revenue better than most companies know how to ship patches. So when the same studio looks at a big budget fantasy game and says, "You buy it once," my brain immediately starts scanning for the trapdoor. Still, I'm watching this closely, because a clean launch would be a massive deal in 2026. Crimson Desert was announced back in 2019, and the identity of the project has shifted over time. Now the messaging is clear: single player, story driven, with a defined beginning and end. Pearl Abyss has also floated the idea that multiplayer could happen later depending on demand, but that's not being sold as co-op at launch. The current pitch is a complete single-player product first. This matters because a single-player game has a simple relationship with the player. You pay, you play, you finish, you leave. There's no daily obligation loop baked in by default. That is where the modern industry usually tries to glue extra systems onto the experience. Battle passes, rotating stores, time looted bundles, XP boosters, anything that turns a game into a habit. Pearl Abyss is saying they're not doing that at launch. They're framing the whole thing as pay up front, get the full experience. The corporate phrasing is predictable. Premium single purchase experience. Clean words, safe words, words that sound great in a headline. They also come with a shadow, because everyone's heard some version of this before. Studios promise a clean launch, then the store arrives later, once reviews are out and the initial wave has already committed. Fallout 76 had its cosmetics only era, then the shop got controversial, GTA Online had shark cards, and became the blueprint for the modern money printer. The pattern exists, and the audience learned it the hard way. So I'm not taking no microtransactions as a permanent vow. I'm taking it as a specific claim about launch, and I'm keeping a mental bookmark for what happens after the honeymoon. Here's why this still hits differently. Pearl Abyss already has a live money engine. Black Desert Online is right there, constantly updated and constantly monetized. They don't need Crimson Desert to be their only source of recurring revenue. They know the numbers and what a shop can earn. This decision is at least interesting, even if you assume they're being strategic and not suddenly enlightened. The bigger reason people care is because monetization has warped the whole industry. Players can feel it. You bid up a new $110 release, or whatever it costs in your country, and half the design is shaped around engagement systems. Multiple currencies, daily rewards, value packs, friction that disappears the moment you spend. A lot of modern games aren't selling you a good time. They're giving you a problem so you can spend money to fix the problem. We've seen the extremes. Diablo Immortal has stories of players spending six figures chasing power. NBA 2K has been hit with lawsuits and constant criticism over how its virtual currency and loot box style systems blur lines that shouldn't be blurry. This stuff has been normalized so thoroughly that the phrase "no microtransactions" gets treated like a miracle instead of a baseline expectation. Pearl Abyss contributed to that environment. Black Desert Online has enhancement systems that can punish you for failure, and the economy around protection and convenience fits monetization like a glove. That history doesn't vanish because a new press statement sounds nice. It does add weight to the moment though. A studio that understands monetized friction from the inside is choosing to launch this game without a shop. That's worth watching, even if you don't hand them a Halo. Now the awkward part, the game itself looks like it might actually justify the premium pitch. The combat looks heavy and crunchy. Hits look like they land, enemies look like they react, magic looks dangerous instead of decorative. The world footage gives off that seamless open world vibe, though footage and final performance are two different planets. Still, the presentation is strong. The boss fights have that Monster Hunter scale, plus climbing and weak point action that looks like it'll create real, "I can't believe I survived that" moments. The character creator looks deep, and the story setup leans into classic fantasy politics and mercenary conflict. The production value looks far beyond what most MMO adjacent projects ever manage. So I keep going back to the same thought. Where's the hook? Where's the store tab hiding in the menu? Where's the optional subscription that becomes the default way to play? Where's the crafting system that drags unless you pay? So far, the answers being given publicly is not at launch. One thing that needs to be said clearly, there are pre-order and edition bonuses, including cosmetics. That's not the same thing as an in-game cash shop, but it's still part of the broader monetization conversation, and it's better to say it out loud than pretend it doesn't exist. What I want is simple. I want Crimson Desert to ship finished. I want it to stay clean from pay to win mechanics. I want it to sell well enough that someone in a boardroom looks at the numbers and realizes a complete game can still be a business plan. Players are not allergic to spending money. They just don't like being farmed. If the game is good, it deserves support. If it's bad, it deserves zero mercy. Either way, a launch without microtransactions is a choice that stands out right now. I'm planning on playing at launch. Hopefully it won't be working. I'll probably do some videos on it. I'm planning on actually making a new channel for gameplay videos if people are interested in it. Maybe I'll review it. Maybe I'll complain about the bugs I survived, the delays. And if a battle pass shows up later, I'll probably make an angry follow-up and own it. For now, I'm cautiously optimistic and aggressively watchful. A major studio is trying to launch a premium single-player game without a cash shop on day one in this industry. That's pretty big news.